It's time to learn and grow.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Weekly Tidbits. I'm Danielle Pricek, your hostess. All information that we talk about today is located in the bit.ly on your screen. This week, we're going to be talking about beginning of Unit 3, and we're going to be looking at lessons actually 2 through 6 in this video, and that first whole catch and release of all block is this week. And we're shifting from writing to inform to writing to entertain. Let's see what that looks like. This week, we're going to be really honing in on W5-3. And we put here, as we have in the past, how the reading and writing is transforming. Another way to think about this is if we look at Hess's cognitive rigor matrix. So this idea that reading and writing work well together is laid out a little bit more cohesively here. So if we look here at our readings and listening, depth of knowledge, and we look at the Bloom's taxonomy column, the highest level is going to be that writing piece. And the DOK for that continues to increase as students get better in writing about reading. So shifting our mindset from, it's just writing. No, these are higher level reading skills transferred into writing skills. Keep that in mind as you're teaching this. It will help you prioritize where you focus. With that in mind, now we're beginning this narrative writing process, our W5-3, and it's going to gradually build over time. So you're going to find this piece where you analyze a model. It's going to be bite at night. Then you're going to guide and practice. And there are questions in each lesson plan, lesson narrative, that you ask during these guided practices pieces. This is the data you use to pull your small group. I do want to say one just-in-time support that you might want to add is really think about how you are a writer, right? You need time to read and think, but really that think time is so essential. And then it's really helpful to be able to talk it out. Talking it out really finds those errors that partnerships can discover together before it gets written. Nothing is more aggravating than writing long and strong about something that you did not think about well. So really leaning into this think piece and the talk piece and the write piece before they start their writing will be so helpful for you and will negate a lot of that frustration or even an inability to write. Lesson 3, you're continuing with this analyzing a model and then that guided practice again. You're going to have question stems to help you be able to pull small groups to provide additional teaching points. You have a mini lesson on conjunctions, and it feels very random and rogue, but it's not when we get to all block. This is that piece where you are now pulling from what they knew from all block, and you're making sure, hey, spot check, guys, are you doing what I taught you in small groups? So this is that pulse check here, and then you're closing an exit ticket. And lesson 4 is that same piece, analyze that model, go ahead and have that guided practice. Now, all of these lessons have been in partnerships, and that's on purpose, right? We're gradually releasing because now in lesson 5, they're now on their own. So they get a new page and they have to do this whole process that you've been doing in lessons 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're going to do it on their own and show you what they've learned over that time. So that first part of that lesson is that graphic organizer. You're not going to grade this at all, right? That second part, though, that is they're drafting that first person narrative. You are going to grade that. So in lesson 6, and I know I'm going a little bit forward to go backwards, you have to give back their writing so that they can revise their narrative. So they have to get feedback really quickly. And let me show you why. Remember, lessons 1 through 4, they're drafting with their partner. There's one narrative running over here, written narrative, and then they start to show it on that mid-unit assessment. Well, there's only a couple lessons now where you're teaching again before they have to apply that learning to the written piece they did on the mid-unit assessment. And one way as a teacher to manage this is in lesson 5, this is why flex days were designed. One of the reasons flex days were designed is because this work is going to take longer than your 60 minutes. Not only that, but you need to be able to give that feedback to be successful in that next piece. So when you give that feedback, you're also gathering feedback as tools for yourself. So a simple process to do is, I laid it out right here. So once they begin to write in this area here, you're just going to circulate for clarity of task. All right, your circulation's done. They are planning their part 1. Then you're going to see them transition into part 2. Once that's happening, you're going to begin pulling up your Mastery Connect or whatever grading tool you have, and you're going to informally grade them as they're working, right? You're observing and gathering data on where they are. Chances are, once it hits paper, it's not going to change. They generally won't be going back and editing and revising during this part. So the data will probably stay the same. All right, so now you've got a headway on the data that's happening as you're watching students work. Now, as students finish a part 2, pull them to confer with you. So bring your work together, pull up Mastery Connect. You guys are talking through your writing, and then they are writing their feedback goals in their student workbooks. So they're ready for tomorrow. So this is one way to set it up for success so you're not up all night grading those papers, trying to get all that feedback, and then taking class time the next day for students to read their feedback. They know moving in, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, right? So there's only a certain things that you're looking for in the mid-unit assessment, so be sure to read over that. All right, let's see how all block support. All right, I'm going to talk through all block by component. Normally in these week 1s, we usually do fluency. This is different. This is one of those weeks that we're going to do grammar, usage, mechanics, gum. And that first day, day 1, you're going to give a pre-assessment. That pre-assessment is how it's very, very quick. A quick pre-assessment, and that is how you're going to group students. So normally you would have them planned out, right? And you're going to be looking about the functions. What are the functions of conjunctions, prepositions, and interjections? What's interesting about this is this impacts a lot of meaning and what's happening in a text. Those nuances kids don't pick up on over time in a text. So it's important to be getting their eyes and lenses back in this work. Don't worry if they totally didn't get it the first day. The next day, they're going to play a memory game about these pieces. It's low risk. It's just good practice. When you catch them again that next day, then you're going to talk about the functions. You're going to really get into functions of those sentences and conjunctions and prepositions and what it does to impact that meaning. Then they should be ready, and they're ready to do it on their own, being able to get to that 5th grade level of explaining those functions of all of these pieces. So it'll gradually release over time, and it's self-differentiated. It's differentiated based on that pre-assessment that you start. All right, for additional work with complex text, we had a mid-unit assessment, and it felt long in Unit 2. And a lot of that was around that RL5-6, that point of view. Well, guess what, guys? It's back. And it's back really well. So the first thing that students are going to do is they're simply going to just color code and record dialogue in an excerpt, right? Because this is now going to prime you for that work. They're going to be looking at these character points of view based on who is talking and that perspective. And then they start to work deeper the next day into quotations to support those inferences. So all of these standards are beautifully working together. You're going to pull them back into that and bring the author in as well, and deeper levels of thinking why she used these descriptions that we need in order for point of view. So our recommended focus standard for this week is RL5-6. Remember, it's that tested standard. We have to know this really deeply and really well. For independent reading, they get to do their research text. So remember, we do that read, they're reading and they're recording into their nice little notebooks. The next day, they're going to do that writing about their reading to that prompt, and you can self-select a prompt if you have one that you really want some students to work on, and then that next day they get to share their prompts and listen carefully, learn about what others have learned as well. All right, that's it for this week. See you next week.
Tune in, it's time to learn and grow. With Daniel present, here we go.